so glad to join with you today. I'm really glad too that I have Tanya Miller, who is a senior soldier of the Salvation Army here at Coffs Harbour Salvos, joining me today. And she's joining me for a special reason. Tanya, of recent days, you've been working on a project. In fact, it's probably been more than just days that she's been working on this. It's been well over 12 months since this project was conceived. And Tanya has successfully applied for a grant through the Salvation Army Innovations platform, and she was successful in her application. People from all over the nation in Australia voted for different projects they thought the Salvation Army should be looking into, and Tanya was one of those projects that garnered people's support and attention. There's good reason for that. Tanya, can you tell us what your group is?
First of all, I just wanted to say that Jeanette had a big part in this as well, and Andrew, and supported me. Like, you know, when I first came to Jeanette about this idea, she was like 100% supportive, and Jeanette and Andrew came down to Sydney on their day off, and we started to talk about the ideas platform, and went down to Sydney on one more occasion because COVID hit, didn't it? Yeah. But yeah, that's how it all started. And so what ReCreate Parenting is about, like, it evolved into. Are you allowed to say that word?
Yeah, absolutely.
It evolved into something that's unique, and I believe that this is how it was meant to be, because you know, ReCreate Parenting started 2 weeks ago, and we ran the second group today, and we have 5 people attending the group. So it's for parents that have been separated from their children, and typically due to forced removal, which you can imagine would be really traumatic.
100%. And I remember, Tanya, as we were researching for this project, we were looking at this demographic quite closely and discovered that by and large, this is a group of people that is largely ignored by society. This is a group of people who feel extremely isolated, I guess, in their experience. And it's a group of people who don't feel safe to talk about their life experiences in a public context. And I can't imagine, Tanya, how difficult that must be for a person to think, I can't even express in a public way what I am going through for fear of the stigma and the judgment, that people are going to rain down on me. I think it's great, Tanya, that you've opened up our space to be able to welcome people like this in and work with them. Yeah. Tanya, can you tell us a little bit about your heart behind the concept? So where did this all spring from for you?
Well, I didn't really recognise it at the time, but when we went to Sydney and we started to explore, like, you know, what's on our heart and how did that come about, you know, it was deeper than I realised. When I was doing my training and thesis in Grafton, I worked with a group of parents. I was facilitating parenting workshops, and to do art therapy, I did some workshops with particular parents that were doing the workshops, and the majority were doing the parenting to some were doing the parenting workshops to satisfy facts and the courts to try to have restoration of their children. And so it was just sort of that group that I started working with. But when I went to Sydney, I realised that, you know, being separated from my mother when I was younger, which wasn't due to forced removal, although you know, there was family violence involved. So that was a big part of my story. But what I realised was that my mum, although she wasn't with us for a while, she still, like, a large part of her identity was based on being a parent herself, but she was a parent that was without her children. And that was, I just watched her sort of really suffer with that, and be separated from her family through the stigma and like you said, the judgment, and that, like, it wasn't okay for her to leave her children, although, you know, it obviously wasn't safe for her to stay either.
If someone was to turn up to the group, what could they expect if they participated?
Okay, so what we do in the group is art therapy. So what that means is you don't have to be an artist, but obviously we use art and visual art, so different types of materials, whether that be paint, crayons, pastels, watercolour paints, acrylic paints, clay, some play type of things. But so what we do is it's not as confronting as sitting down and talking about things that have happened, although so it's more about making art, and sometimes in a group, sometimes individually, and that's really led by you. So that, say for example, an activity that we might do might be a collage. Today we did a collage, and in that collage it might be how have you been feeling in the last week, and the images that you put on the paper will really be about your experience. So everyone's collage would be quite different, whether or not you choose to talk about that out loud, or just have everyone witness what your experience was from the paper is totally up to you. So with any types of therapy, obviously you're there for the purpose of a parent and not being with your children. So how deep you want to explore that is totally up to you. So it's about connecting with yourself and hopefully the others in the group, and just, building a relationship with your community.
Well, Tanya, there might be people watching today and hearing all about this project, and they might be someone who's in that situation that has been caught up in the spiral of addiction, lost custody of their children for some reason or another, or it could be someone else, a family member perhaps, or even a friend who's heard what we've said today and thought to themselves, yeah, I know someone who could benefit from that. If that's the case, Tanya, what should they do?
They should contact either yourself or myself directly, and we'll make contact and do an assessment, just to get some background and make sure they feel safe and supported, so they could come along to the group, which is on a Thursday morning.
Yep, starting at 10 a.m, finishing at 11:30 a.m. Morning tea is also provided, refreshments are there. So by all means do that, make contact, and we'd love to have you join with us. Well, friends, it's exciting, isn't it, to see how God, through this COVID season, has sprung up something new, particularly in the life of our church, and I know He's doing that all over the community. But I want to thank you, Tanya, and on behalf of our church, our congregation, we want to say we are with you, and we're going to do what we can, aren't we, to support Tanya and to see that this support group goes off and thrives and does what it's designed to do, which is to reach out into our community with the love of Jesus. God bless you all, and we'll see you next time.